I started at a small company in Baltimore, back where I grew up, and did that for about 10, 11 years, became a partner at the age of 28, working with the traditional high net worth client in that space, so million plus investable assets. But what I realized is like, that wasn't my family. The people around me, my friends, my family, weren't sitting there with a couple $1 million in the bank, in their bank account, and like looking for advice. And I realized, well, there's something wrong with this industry. And what I realized is about 90 million households in this country are either underserved or unserved when it comes to financial advice, right? So my family was unserved. My grandparents were unserved. I grew up with them when I was younger. My parents were unserved by the industry, or underserved by the industry. I realized as a CFP professional, which is a gold standard for professionals giving, in financial planning, that the quality of advice was quite poor. Quality of advisors, I mean, there was no industry standard for the education, experience, or ethical standards for financial advisors. And I woke up one day and said, this is wrong. And I'll use the phrase that Notre Dame uses, like, what would you fight for? And I said, well, I'm going to fight for Main Street, not Wall Street. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to say, people deserve access to this. This is a life-changing service. It just happens to touch money, right? I always say it's life planning with like a hint of fun, with a hint of money in the background, right? Because that's what we really do as CFP. So in 2016, I was introduced to two individuals out of San Francisco, at a Silicon Valley area, which, as we know, is like the tech hub of the world, who happen to have a little bit of background in personal finance, but primarily they were technology investors, healthcare investors. They had invested in built scalable businesses before. And they said, well, we found this problem in personal finance. They said, so we want to bring our technology expertise, our business expertise to this industry. It's like, but we don't know financial planning. And I said, well, guess what? I know financial planning. So essentially the three of us in 2016 said, let's go build a company that's going to make, unbiased, personalized financial advice that integrates into every facet of your life more affordable and accessible for everyday Americans. And that was 2016. We started with 5 people. And fast forward 6 years, we are just over 300 employees in 30. I don't know the exact number of states. By the way, we started completely virtual. So before COVID, we had this idea that virtual delivery of advice was the future. And so before COVID, so when COVID hit and we had a small office in Baltimore, we shut it down, but 80% of our employees were already remote. And so we naturally transitioned to it. And oddly enough, COVID was this accelerant for us in terms of the marketplace, right? People looking for financial advice, willing to accept virtual delivery of personal financial advice. And we went from a couple hundred clients, and I think we just eclipsed 12,000. We are the 46th fastest growing private company in the country. Number one, because we're in Baltimore, our official headquarters, global headquarters in Baltimore, number one in Baltimore, number one in Maryland, but number 3 in financial services in the country, and 46th of all services and industries in the country. And all that in 6 years. I'm not a religious person by nature, but what Notre Dame taught me is all about service to others. And so when I started thinking about my trajectory, my career, I wanted to get into like a service opportunity in terms of what I do professionally. This is my way of giving back. Now, I don't know that I would have learned that lesson, this idea of family, community, and service, anywhere else at other universities. And that's, I'm sure you see this all the time, Sean. It's like people choose Notre Dame because it's a different school. A lot of schools have a brand problem. Notre Dame does not have a brand problem. Like people know what you're getting there. When I was a student athlete at Notre Dame, it wasn't just about, hey, being a good athlete. Yes, we wanted to be elite athletes, but Notre Dame constantly came back and said, but the academics matter, preparing for your future matter, and also doing things as a way to serve and give back. Hands down, the most important thing to me. Everything I do in the Notre Dame community, from the Monogram Club, I was the president of the Notre Dame Club of Maryland. The community, the family is second to none. And I think so. It's not just about the Notre Dame brand, but by the way, I think we know this. When you tell somebody to go to Notre Dame, you go, "Oh, really? Tell me more." Right? There's a story there. People want to talk to you about that. The support network, the people. If I needed anything, I call somebody. It's head and shoulders above the vast majority of universities and college experiences out there. I think playing sports helps because you learn the discipline, the commitment, the grit, the fight, right? But I think if I look back at it, I think Notre Dame prepared me for what was going to be my next. I didn't know it at the time, but everybody along the way, the support, the family, the community, the education, right, the academics, the elite status from an athletic program perspective is something that I'm very proud of. And I love connecting with fellow Notre Dame alumni and student athletes. It's just one of the motivating forces in my life. And I think that is super unique when it comes to Notre Dame. I want to be the employer of choice. I want to build a company that has a mission that's so powerful that people can't like wait to start working here. I want to build a company culture that's so incredible that people go, that's the place that I want to work, right? Because I'm a financial planner by trade. I want all the future financial planners coming out of college that are bright, smart, ready to change the world. I want them to go I want to say one thing. I'm going to work at Facet because I have a meaningful, impactful career and I will change lives. Like that is what I want. Number two, we actually just went through this exercise, and what I envision is 10 years from now is that we will be the go-to financial partner, that reliably improves the quality of life for 20 million American households. That's our goal by 2030, 20 million American households. We're about 13,000, right? That's a lot of growth, but this is what we do as entrepreneurs. We dream big. The way I see this is that if you can improve the quality of life or change someone's life, one life, right? You change a life, you can change a household. You change a household, you can change a neighborhood. You change a neighborhood, you can change a community. You change a community. I mean, imagine the possibilities that exist. Not for our company, by the way, right? Like we'll be successful either way, whether we have 30,000 clients or 20 million, right? Big disparity. We will have a successful company. I want to make sure, this is my big dream. 20 million households is what I want by 2030. I just want to make sure that one day that financial advice or financial planning is sort of an essential service. It's seen as essential as healthcare to living well, right? And I want to make sure that every single American household has access to it, right? High quality advice, a dedicated CFP professional, all the things that they need financially to improve the quality of their life. That is the ultimate goal. My freshman year, we made it to the College World Series. But the one thing that most people overlook, like of course now they look at our record, they look at our video going to Omaha, beating Florida State. But a couple really important lessons came out of that freshman year. Number one, we started 9-10. Right, we were ranked in the top 25 because the class the year before us they'd hit number one in the country. I think they went to Mississippi State and lost in the super regionals. So there were a lot of expectations, and we stunk. We dropped out of the top 25. People were going, geez, Notre Dame really isn't good at baseball. And I think that adversity was really, really important for us because as a team, we had to regroup. And I think there's a lesson in life here is that not everything is going to work out. And most people overlook that in our freshman season. The second lesson is we were always, even despite the fact we went on like a 30-game winning streak, no one gave us the respect that we deserved. They kept saying, well, they're just a team from the North. And so then South Alabama came in for a regional. South Alabama was ranked 12th. They gave us no shot. And we smoked them, right? Being that underdog, being like bringing that tenacity, that grit, that fight, saying we can do this, we can overcome it. And we beat them. Then we had to go to Florida State, number one in the country. No one gave us a shot. What did we do? We beat them, right? We went to Omaha, had to face Rice, then the number one team in the country, re-ranked. We kept like re-ranking these teams, right? And what did we do? We beat them. Now, we eventually lost to Stanford because at that elite level, there's such small variation in the quality of teams. Right. So like one pitcher, one out, one whatever can change it. And I look at the lessons we learned that most people don't see or learn when they see it. It's learning from adversity, right? It's okay to fail, but it's not okay to fail and stop. It's okay to fail and go, what did I learn from this? How can I get better? And then keep fighting, because Notre Dame will provide you the education, the community, the adversity, right? You'll face it every single day in elite level to help you grow. And if you take advantage of that opportunity, the sky's the limit when you come out of Notre Dame from a personal, professional, even financial perspective. The number one piece of advice I give somebody is like, take at least one entrepreneurship class. It doesn't mean you have to I don't even know if you can major in entrepreneurship. I'm sure that I think there's a program that's like some kind of, innovation or right. There are classes. Take at least one. because I think the mistake that I made when I was younger is I thought, okay, I'm graduating at 21 or 22 years old, and I'm supposed to choose this profession. I'm going to get a major, right? Some degree, some area of study, and I'm supposed to do it for the next 40 years of my life. And that's horrifying, right? By the way, if that like works out for you, awesome, amazing. You're better than me because I couldn't figure it out, right? I happened to stumble into something my senior year, even though I was a finance major. That has nothing. That was like corporate finance. It has nothing to do with personal finance to that extent. So I think number one is take an entrepreneurship class, because I think it will broaden your horizons in terms of thinking about what is possible when it comes to your career, right? I truly believe if I had taken that class back in college, it would have changed the way I think about sort of what am I supposed to do when I leave college, right? Number two is don't be afraid to fail. Don't expect perfection. That's hard at Notre Dame or really elite universities, right? Because you're coming out, everybody like seems to be getting this great job, private equity, investment banking, or like everybody was getting, I'm going, oh geez, like I actually left Notre Dame without a job. That was by choice, by the way. I had job offers, but they were with traditional financial, like Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch. I didn't love the environment there, right? That was hard for me. And by the way, also leaving Notre Dame, my goal was to play professional baseball, but after injuries, like my identity was sort of shaken a little bit. And I think reflecting back and go, look, when you're in your 20s, that's your greatest decade to explore, to learn, I'll say to fail, to learn from your failures and all of that. So, give yourself some grace when you're looking at the next chapter and thinking, I'm going to figure out life in the next 40 years. You don't know a darn thing at 21 or 22. Know that you have the security and a community behind you that is second to none in the Notre Dame family, right? No matter what you need, you can call anybody, you're going to get something out of it. Coming out of Notre Dame, you already have a leg up on most people because our community, our family is second to none. And I will stand by that, right? After seeing it for 20 years now since graduation. What I'm proud of for myself is, I had spent 11 years in my previous company. I'd become a partner. I'd established myself as a very, very successful financial advisor in my early 30s. And then I had this decision to make. Am I going to essentially give it all up and leave it behind and start a company with no clients, no revenue, no idea what, by the way, 98+% of startups fail kind of thing, right? I was horrified. But when I could look back and say, I had the support of an amazing community, friends and family, but also Notre Dame. I'd learned that, it doesn't matter what failure I face, I can overcome it. I will learn from it. I will fight through it. And so the thing I'm most proud of for myself is taking that leap of faith and saying, I can do this. I've been prepared for this by my education, by the work that I've done, the commitment and discipline I've had in my professional career. I look back on that, it's like one of the scariest and most amazing decisions I ever made in my entire life, right? Which is why I encourage anyone who's a student athlete, like try an entrepreneurship class, try something and fail. Because now's the best, like failing when you're 45 with 3 kids and trying to save for college is scarier, right? But failing when you're 18 or 22, like get back up, dust yourself off and go back at it. Just like on the athletic field. Beyond incredible. I think it just short and sweet there. But I brought my girlfriend back with me. She came with me, right? And I think the cool thing was, like, I think we're all incredibly proud to be Notre Dame alumni, but also student athletes of Notre Dame, right? It was so cool to see the success of the teammates around me. The thing that really hit me was being able to show my girlfriend around, but let's just say someone who's important to you in your life, the people you met, the people you played with, you went to battle with every single day, walking them around campus. Like, I didn't really think about how proud I would be. Now, it had been a couple years since I'd been back because of COVID, right? So there was a different experience versus like you go back 3 or 4 times a year for a football game. Going back and stepping on that campus it just reminded me of how magical that place is. And everybody who steps foot on that campus is like, holy cow, this place is beautiful. But then you share the stories of how we thread, we don't just put money into athletic facilities. They have to be like integrating athletic and academic, right, pursuits. which is like, what we're trying to do is integrate personal finance with the life you want to live, the person you want to become. That whole experience was just like it. I don't know why it never gets old, Sean. I took him into Purcell Pavilion, saw my name up on the Ring of Honor kind of thing, and like even thinking about it gives me chills. I sent the picture to my dad like 20 years later. I'm like, this is still the coolest thing, one of the coolest things, because my company Facet now, right, takes number one, but Notre Dame could be number two. The final thing I'll share here too. One of the reasons I chose Notre Dame, outside of the quality of their academics and their athletics, we all had a bunch of decisions or some, right? It all varied from like 2 schools to 10 schools or whatever. And I like interviewed people that went to different schools. And I said, what do you think? I was looking at Brown, looking at Ivy League or Stanford and then Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. And I was like, so what do you think about the school? And something stood about Notre Dame. Every single person I asked and said, tell me about your experience. But every single person said it's the best decision they made at that point. Right now it's changed because they got married and had kids. And so they have to say something else. I mean, they should say something else.
Yeah.
Not a single person was like, wasn't sure. But when other schools, you always got this mixed bag. Mm-hmm. Right. But everybody I asked that had gone to Notre Dame was like, amazing experience. The family, the community, second to none. The like magical place. I still feel that 20 years later. And it's been a driving force of my personal life. And now the service mindset, sort of what would you fight for? Well, I'm fighting for the 90 million American households that lack access today. It's been a cool thing.